Imagine standing inside a room that doesn't exist. You're holding a thought that cannot be thought and reading words about something that cannot be described. It feels impossible, doesn't it? And yet, here you are doing exactly that. Welcome to the puzzle that once shattered philosophy itself. Over 2,500 years ago, the ancient Greek philosopher Parmenides wrote something so unsettling that philosophers have been wrestling with it ever since. His claim was simple but devastating. Nothing comes from nothing. What is not cannot be. In other words, you cannot think about what does not exist. And yet, you just tried. Close your eyes and attempt to imagine nothing. Not darkness, not empty space, not silence. Those are still somethings. The mind rebels, filling the void with imagery, texture, even the concept of emptiness. Absolute nothingness cannot be grasped, and in that impossibility lies the paradox. Parmenides lived in a world where philosophy was still young and dangerous, a time when ideas could be more disruptive than weapons. While most thinkers debated the nature of motion and change, Parmenides declared that change itself was an illusion. If nothing cannot exist, then something cannot come into being or pass away. Reality, he claimed, must be timeless, unchanging, and eternal. That idea sounded like madness, and yet it still echoes through science today. Think about modern physics. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time is not a flowing river but a dimension woven into space itself. Past, present, and future all exist in what physicists call the block universe. In this view, every moment, your birth, your death, the words I'm speaking now, already exist simultaneously. Change is an illusion of perspective, much like Parmenides suggested long ago. But here is where the trap tightens. If what does not exist cannot be thought of, how can we imagine a unicorn, or picture tomorrow's sunrise, or speak of a person long dead? The sentence, "The unicorn in my backyard is beautiful," should be meaningless gibberish. And yet, your mind instantly created a backyard, placed a unicorn in it, and draped it in beauty. Language has a supernatural power, the ability to create worlds out of nothing. The Greeks called this sensation aporia, a deep drowning puzzlement, as though the ground beneath thought itself had vanished. Parmenides had kicked open a trap door beneath human reason, and every generation of philosophers since has fallen through it. Some philosophers, like Gottlob Frege, suggested that when we talk about non-existent things, we're not really talking about them. We're just pointing to concepts in our minds. The unicorn doesn't exist, but the idea of a unicorn does. Bertrand Russell disagreed. He argued that such sentences are simply false statements cleverly disguised. Saying, "The present king of France is bald," isn't meaningful. It just fails because there is no present king of France. But neither answer satisfies the itch. If fiction is only concepts, why does the death of a fictional character sometimes wound us more deeply than the loss of someone real? And if all fictional sentences are false, why do we learn genuine truths from stories that never happened? Modern philosophers like Saul Kripke have tried to resolve this by suggesting that fictional characters exist, but not here. They live in possible worlds. Sherlock Holmes isn't real in our world, but in another reality, he is forever solving crimes on Baker Street. This ties eerily into the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, which suggests that every possible event branches into its own universe. If so, then perhaps every story we tell, every thought we imagine, is real somewhere. And here lies the disturbing twist. Every day, without noticing, you break the very rules Parmenides laid down. Every time you daydream, you imagine things that do not exist. Every time you plan for tomorrow, you entertain events that haven't happened. Every time you recall your childhood, you summon moments that no longer exist. According to strict logic, this should be impossible, and yet it is the fabric of consciousness itself. Neuroscience offers a clue. Cognitive scientists like Anil Seth describe consciousness as a controlled hallucination. Your brain isn't passively recording reality, it's actively predicting it moment by moment, creating a model of the world and updating it with sensory data. In this sense, you're living in a simulation generated by your brain. Yourself may be less a fixed thing, and more a character in an ongoing story told by your neurons. But if that's true, then who is the narrator? Who or what is listening to the story? Parmenides' paradox cuts deeper than logic. It pierces into the mystery of what it means to exist at all. Perhaps the very impossibility of imagining nothing is the secret engine of human creativity. Science itself thrives on imagining what isn't. Particles never observed, stars too distant to touch, equations that point to realities beyond sight. Every technological breakthrough began with a thought that did not exist until it was spoken. Every act of compassion begins with imagining a better future that hasn't arrived. In physics, quantum mechanics tells us that particles exist as probabilities until observed, hovering in a limbo between being and non-being. It is as though reality itself resists being nailed down, echoing Parmenides' warning that what is not cannot be. And yet, in the very act of observation, possibility collapses into reality. In that moment, thought and existence intertwine. Language, too, is not just a mirror of reality. It is a creator of reality. Every story, every poem, every myth you've ever heard is proof that humans can breathe life into what does not exist. In this way, we are all magicians, conjuring meaning from nothing. So maybe Parmenides wasn't entirely wrong. Maybe the line between existence and non-existence is not sharp at all. Maybe reality is less a structure of solid walls and more a conversation, a shared hallucination, a collaborative story we tell together, word by word, thought by thought. And if that's true, then your very sense of self, your memories, your plans, the voice in your head right now, is not a solid fact, but a story, a fiction so convincing you forgot you were the author. The ancient Greeks believed that some truths could only be approached through paradox, never resolved. Perhaps the point was never to escape the trap, but to live inside it, to realize that the prison was also the key. Because if the boundary between what is real and what is imagined is softer than we think, then every dream, every vision, every whispered possibility is already part of reality. So ask yourself, what are you really and what am I? Are we facts in a physical universe or characters in a story told by consciousness itself? Maybe we are both. Maybe we are neither. One thing is certain. You have already been living inside Parmenides' paradox all along. You just didn't notice it until now. And perhaps the most haunting realization is this. Once this video ends, your thoughts about it will themselves be about something that no longer exists, in a mind that may itself be more story than substance. That is the end to today's video. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, sweet dreams.